What is up, y'all? I am Will, and this is the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast brought to you by us here at ScheduleFly. Simple, web-based restaurant employee scheduling software backed by legendary customer service, all at a low price point. We've never raised prices since 2007. ScheduleFly.com, 30-day free trial. My personal cell phone number is on the website. Give me a call anytime. Always happy to wrap. Y'all, if you're on pencil and paper or Excel, and if you have any scheduling or communication headaches or challenges, or people trading shifts or phone calls or fire drills, just don't deal with it anymore. We'll make life easier for you and your team, I promise. If you're on another competitive scheduling software, I will bet you are paying way too much and you probably don't have great customer service. Let's put it this way. If you're not in love with your scheduling software and your communication software, give us a shot. Give me a call. Set up the free trial. We don't take a credit card until you're done with your 30-day free trial and you love ScheduleFly. We don't do contracts. We don't do BS fees. Simple monthly pricing. We earn your business every month. Okay? Small team, great support, great software. We'd love to serve you. Okay. So this is Chad Biel with Bohemian Bull, a ScheduleFly customer. In fact, he's got a business that he started, it's probably been 15 years ago, and kind of got his corporate location, his single location dialed in and started franchising. He's now got 2 corporate locations, 5 franchises. That's 7 total locations. They'll have 9 locations by the end of the year. That's 2 more franchises. And he's a great dude. He's a great operator and has an incredible story. I love Bohemian Bull. Check him out, bohemianbull.com. We talk about, the process of growing into being a franchisor and what he's learned and how things are going. And great story. We talked for about an hour. Talked about Pop Menu. Love those folks. And that is all. Check it out. Oh, give us a rating. Give us a rating. Give us a rating. Please hit pause. Just hit pause right now. Give us a rating. If it's on YouTube and you're watching, or you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, just give us a 5-star rating or a thumbs up or something. If you got time to throw some comments in there, that would be cool. That tells the algorithm, put this content in front of people that want it. So if you like our stuff, give us a rating. We love you. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Here you go. What's up, Mr. Chad Biel? How you doing, man?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Just actually had an episode this morning with a like you, a ScheduleFly / Pop Menu customer.
Oh, cool. Nice.
You're still using them?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I just got done having a conversation with them right before I got on with you, talking about online ordering and stuff like that. We just started using their AI answering system, which is pretty neat. So we were essentially, it's something they've offered for a couple of years now, and wasn't sure if I really saw the value in it. It's not really expensive, but it's not cheap either. And we had one of our franchisees said that one day she came in, she had 3 missed phone calls, and she's like, I don't know how, we're all here. She's like, we have phones everywhere. We've got like 5 phones in the building. No idea how we would have had a missed call. It doesn't make any sense. She said, but we did. I called them back, and 2 of them were to-go orders, and they just placed to-go order somewhere else because, we have online ordering, but not everybody likes to do that, or maybe they're driving, so they just call to place an order or whatever. And she made a really valid point that if, she has 1 missed call a day that's an online order that doesn't get caught and they go place an order somewhere else, it pays for itself real quick. And I never thought about it quite like that. And I was like, that's a really good point. One of the other things it does too, which I really like, is that it gets rid of spam calls. So it filters spam calls. They give us data at the end of each week, and we are filtering through about 47% of our calls are being either handled through the AI system, meaning that they for example, if somebody says, "Can I make a reservation?" It'll send them a link to the reservations. They can make a reservation online. If they say, "Can I place a to-go order?" It'll send them a link to to-go orders. Now they can still talk to a person very easily. But yeah, 47% of the calls are being filtered and being resolved by the AI system, which is pretty impressive. So we've seen a big reduction in it. My daughter's a host at the restaurant, and so I get like really good feedback from her because she's, the restaurant's 13 years old and she's 17, so she's been in
Yeah.
that world for a long time. So she gives me really good feedback on stuff like that. But yeah, it seems to be working well. It's a pretty neat process.
Are you doing it just at your initial location, or are you putting?
So the original location that was trying it was Merle's Inlet. So they
Okay.
started it there first, which is unusual. We typically test things out in the corporate store, but I wasn't going to stop them from doing something like that. It wasn't like breaking our franchise agreement or anything like that. I thought it was a really good tool. They're really great franchisees. I thought it was a good opportunity for them to try something that was different too, and then give us feedback. And within a couple of weeks, they were like, "Yeah, it's awesome. We love it. It's great." And so we started it ourselves. And they give you a list of about, I'd say, 50 or so common asked questions that you can put in your own custom answers for. And then, of course, at any point in time, somebody can just say, "Can I speak to a team member?" or whatever. The one thing that I didn't do, on this past Monday, we closed the restaurant to do a staff outing, which we do a couple times a year, where we'll just close the restaurant down on like a Monday or Tuesday, and we'll take everybody out and do something fun with everybody, team building events. And we did that this past Monday, and I never thought about, boy, I probably could put on the AI system that we're closed for the day for a staff outing. So we'll be closing for dinner on July 4th. We'll do lunch only, and I'll probably put on there on the system something about us being closed for the day, because a lot of the phone calls we get, the majority are to place to go orders or make reservations.
Mm. Yeah, it's such an interesting dynamic. I mean, my daughter worked a couple of summers ago at a pizza place here, and she was a host, and she would just come home stressed on like a busy Friday night because she'd be like, "I'm trying to answer the phone. I'm trying to seat people. It's loud. I can't hear people on the phone. They get mad at me if I get something wrong. People are waiting to seat." And she's like, "It's so stressful." And but then like, so it seems like in situations like that, it's really, really helpful. Um, but then in slower situations, you want to talk if you want to talk to a person, or if the person wants to talk, like is there like, can you turn it on and off kind of thing?
I suppose you could. I haven't really dealt with that yet. I also think that you're right, there is a balance. I think that there's some people that can't stand the AI answering things. And in certain scenarios, I don't like it either, because it's really hard to get to talk to to talk to customer service, right?
Yeah,
And
I just hit zero. I was
right,
like,
yeah, right. And that's like a lot of times what I do too. I think that, like I said, the most common things are place an online order and make a reservation. That's 90% of what the phone calls are that we're getting. Or hours of operation. That's probably like, are you guys, what time do you guys close today? What time do you guys stop serving lunch? Things like that. And those questions are answered very easily and very simply through the app. But at any point in time, somebody can just say, "Talk to a team member, talk to somebody. Can I please talk to somebody?" And it'll automatically ring to the restaurant. So it's pretty simple. It's not like we're not trying to like make it difficult for people to talk to somebody or anything like that. We're just trying to solve the most common issues. But there's some fun ones that are on there too. Like I put some kind of funny messages in there. There's one like, "Do you guys have dancing?" And I'm like, "We have live music on Saturday nights, and you can shake your rump if you want to. Nobody's going to stop you." Just like
Awesome.
fun stuff that, I mean, who's going to call and ask if we have dancing? I mean, we're a restaurant. That's probably not a common question that people will get. So I thought I'd put a funny answer in there for people. Or, another common one that I think we get a couple times a week is, "Do you guys allow dogs?" Because we do have a big patio. And so, like, our answer to that was something like, "We love our four-legged friends. We just ask that they stay on a leash." So
Yep. There you go.
so it solves a lot of those little issues pretty easily for our team members.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad to hear that. I knew they were doing that. And I'm glad to hear that It's working well. So you're going to put it in all your franchises going forward? You'll
We
give it the
allow them
option.
to have that option. I mean, it's $150 a month for the tier level that we're paying for now. It depends on how many phone calls it takes in a month, and and then it'll change from there. And it has tier levels. I'm not going to get the numbers perfect, but I know that we're at like the 150 tier level. And then let's say it goes up to like 200. Well, in between there, if you don't need that tier level to 200, it's like a few cents for each call that it takes in
Oh, yeah.
there. So if you go over your limit, it'll just add until it gets to the next limit. It's not going to charge you that next amount right away. It's just going to charge you a few cents per phone call if you go over it. So let's say it's the 29th of the month, you go over by 10 phone calls, you pay an extra few cents, for those 10 phone calls. It's not going to bump you right up to that $200 one. If I'm saying that completely correctly, don't quote me on
Gotcha.
on
Okay.
menu structure, but I'm pretty
No,
sure.
no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was talking to Don, I didn't even ask him. I guess they're not using that. Don Nickel down at Taco Lu, but he's
Mhm.
a really happy customer of theirs. And we like them. I mean, we think they're a great business and,
I
they're a
was
little,
just talking about Taco Lu in
what's that?
Jacksonville. Are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were just having a conversation about them the other day. So there's a Mex One is a local group here
Yeah. Dave
that's
Lorenz,
also Dave. Yeah, so Dave and him have a history together at some restaurants that they used to work at back in the day, and
Sticky
so
Fingers, right?
yeah, Sticky Fingers. That's absolutely.
Oh, I didn't
Yep.
know those. I should have thought of that. I
Yeah.
forgot because he was talking about Sticky Fingers in the like back in the day. That was
Yeah.
Dave Lorenz.
Yep,
Oh,
and Dave Lorenz was with them. They were both corporate guys with Sticky Fingers, and then both ended up starting their own kind of Mexican style restaurants.
yeah.
But yeah, Taco Lu kills it there in Jack's Beach. I don't know. Do they have any other locations? Is that their only location, or
That's it, man. It's
yeah,
huge.
cool.
It's like it's just a big, unique building, lots of
Yeah,
different,
I've been to it. It's neat. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, and we talked about that. He's like, man, I don't want to divide my time. I want it in one place. And we just always try to figure out how to maximize this place. And then, they've been open long enough where he's like, I have a good team there and I'm here all the time, but I'm not like always in the weeds. And so I still can play golf or whatever and have some balance. And his kids are getting involved now. And,
nice.
he just kind of like is locked in on that one location. And they've got that big thing they do every year at the, TPC, Tacos on 12.
Nice.
I've actually got, it's my favorite coffee mug, Tacos on 12.
Cool.
Golf ball dimples on it. But that's a big deal for them every year. And I'll put it, you can listen to his episode. I'll put it up. I just recorded it this morning. Great
Yeah,
dude.
I've actually never had a chance to meet him before, so I don't really know him. I obviously know Dave well. I was involved with Mex One. I helped him open up a couple of their stores, and Dave was a owner of Bohemian Bowl at one point in time.
Yeah.
Or I bought him out. So yeah, so I've known Dave for a long time. It's pretty neat. So small world. And I've heard nothing good about Taco or nothing bad about Taco. I've only heard good things about it. I've heard it's a great place. So I've been there before, but I haven't had a chance to eat or anything like that. We just kind of stopped by. I was visiting some friends who were in the Coast Guard that were stationed in Jack's Beach, and so
Yeah.
I was just curious to kind of see the space and everything like that. As a matter of fact, the design of his sign outside, if you look at the sign that he has, his road sign that he has,
Yeah.
we kind of looked at the design of that sign and kind of did some similar aspects to the Bohemian Bowl, like the original location. It's got this big arrow that kind of comes off of it that like points at
Yeah.
the restaurant, and ours has something kind of similar to that too. So we actually
Uh,
really were inspired by the sign that he did out there. I thought it was really neat design, and we did something similar to it.
yeah. I told him I wear my Taco Lu shirt and, I've had people in Denver airport, New York City, Manhattan, they're like, oh, Taco Lu, that place is like, he's
Nice.
definitely built,
Cool.
kind of an iconic place. Well, so, uh, man, I'm glad we're having a chance to catch it. This is probably like your fourth episode now. Maybe you
Probably
might be
so,
the
yeah.
leader in episodes, man. But I always learn something from you, Chad. And it's been so awesome to watch your business grow from the single location to the idea of franchising to opening the first franchise location, and then you guys keep growing. You're at what, like 8 or 9 locations now?
We'll have 9 open at the end of this year. We're at 7 right now. So we've got one that we're going to be opening up in just a few weeks. And then we've got another one coming probably in the fall of this year. And you know, it's ironic is that I think in the first episode we ever did together, we talked about expansion. I was at one location at that time and what growth would look like for Bohemian Bowl. And I was like, I don't know. I kind of felt like the same conversation that the guy that Taco Lu had with you is that like I'm really comfortable in this one location. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'll open another one in the Charleston market, but I'm not really sure if I would grow beyond that because I don't know from like an owner operation, like when you expand too far out, you kind of lose touch with like your people and all that. And I think that's what's neat about franchising is they're each individually owned and operated, you know, and so you know, you're able to teach somebody how to use your business model to be successful in their own right. So that's what I've always enjoyed. The mentorship piece of it, that's always been something that has driven me in my career from very early on. I mean, listen, I love to cook. I love the restaurant business. I love service. I love hospitality. But when it comes to my team members and stuff like that, I love the opportunity to train people and teach people how to
Yeah.
maybe open their own business at some point in time or whatever have you. So I'm part of a networking group that's a whole bunch of entrepreneurs, and it's really cool because we're always sharing ideas with each other, and I just love that aspect of it. It's really fun.
Yeah, you've always said that, man. You've always really enjoyed coaching and teaching and mentoring. And
Mhm.
this is it's a great way to do it. And congrats on the growth, man. 9 is that's phenomenal. Where are the 2 that are opening over
The next
coming
stores,
up over
yeah.
the year?
So we have a second location going in the Greenville market. You could almost say third because we have one that's in a town right outside of Greenville called Malden, which is kind of like a suburb of Greenville. So we'll have a Malden store, one in Greenville proper, and then another one that's going in just outside of downtown. It's really close to like the downtown area of Greenville, and that one will be open where we think the opening date will probably be the 28th. We're looking at the 21st to get our team in there and start training and everything, and then opening on the 28th. As of right now, everything's looking like it's coming together for that to be accurate. As far as getting a certificate of occupancy, that's what we're always waiting on, is that last little piece of the puzzle. And because you can't get a liquor license till you get the certificate of occupancy. You can't get a health inspection until you get a certificate of occupancy. You can't get your liquor license until you get your health inspection. So it all like kind of they happen real quick. Once you get your certificate of occupancy, you can get those other 2 things in a matter of a day. But that's like the one thing that we have to finalize at all of our openings. We've gotten burned a couple of times, not by anybody's fault, but really our own decision of going to stores before they had a CO and then sitting and waiting
Yeah.
because it's oftentimes that it'll take 1 or 2 inspections before you get your CO. It's not always on the first inspection. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 even, because they'll come in and they'll find like one thing that they're like, hey, you got to fix this, you got to change that. So they'll come back and it'll be fixed, and it's nothing major usually, but there's sometimes when they come in on a Friday and then they're like, I'll be back on Monday. So then you get it fixed right away and you just got to sit around and wait for 3 days. So, so we've had that happen. So we've kind of made a hard line of like, we're not going to come to store openings anymore until a certificate of occupancy is in hand. Because it's not fair to anybody. It's, you know, it's not a good, financially, it makes absolutely no sense because we've done it a couple times now, and our staff, you know, we bring 7 or 8 people to these openings, so it's not cheap.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good market for y'all. Then 3 in that area. Is that the same? I'm assuming it's the same franchisee.
No, it's not actually.
Oh,
So
really?
2 franchisees, and I actually have a corporate store there. So so I have one of the stores in Greenville, and then we have the franchisee in Malden, and then a new franchisee that came about at this new store that's opening up. His name's Luke.
Do you have a corporate store? Was it a franchise and it
It
didn't?
was a franchise that I bought back. That's right. Yep, that I bought back.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I want to ask you about that. That's interesting. And it seems like though that like, so now you've got some brand awareness in this growing area. And then, you know, I mean, I always wonder about that with like franchising and like how do you get the right mix of finding locations, and do you go grow concentrically out, or is it more about finding the right franchisee, even if they're in an area where like you've got one in Texas or whatever, but like what's the strategy for figuring out? Cause like I would think, okay, now you go to Spartanburg and like you've got like some brand awareness around there and you could kind of expand or is it more, it's just got to be the right franchisee, the right demographics, and it doesn't really matter that much if we have brand awareness there yet. That's what we grow when we have the right team in place.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We've seen both, right? We've seen like we've opened stores in our backyard. I mean, we have a store in Mount Pleasant that's 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes from our original store. Obviously, we have brand awareness there. We had people that were coming into our, original store. It's been open for 13 years. Or we live in Mount Pleasant. We can't wait for the store to open, so we have brand awareness there. We found that we have brand awareness kind of within a 3 to 4 hour radius of Charleston, because we're getting people that are they're visiting. They come to Charleston because they come to the beach or they come for the history or whatever have you in that kind of area. But that's not to say that they're well, I'll give an example. Yulee, Florida. We just opened a store, which is a suburb of Jacksonville. It's the one of the first exits when you get into Florida. It's about 3.5 hour drive from Charleston. It is about 30 minutes north of Jacksonville. If you look at the demographics, if you look at not the demographics, but if you look at the population, if you look at a lot of like what was happening there, it doesn't really on paper make a ton of sense except for the growth. There's a lot. So you're almost like, okay, we're going to get in early here as Yulee grows and expands. We will grow and expand with it. But that was the largest grand opening we've ever done, sales wise, in the smallest location that we have. So
Really? Okay.
yeah, so it's interesting to see, what is the perfect formula? I don't know if there really is one quite yet, right? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously from a execution and standpoint of like making sure that the business is run well, you got to have a great franchisee, you got to have a great team behind that franchisee, good leadership. It starts with the top down, as all of us know. But as far as like the perfect spot, I don't know, man. It's really interesting to kind of continue to figure that out. There's a lot of really neat um, technology that's available now that we track these companies track people's phones, and you can tell where people are coming and going from and all these different traffic patterns and what time of the day people are in certain areas and all this kind of stuff. And there's like all kinds of data that revolves around that. So yeah, and in a place like Yulee, we're pulling customers from 30 minutes away because they live in like a small town in Georgia, on the border, and they don't have a whole lot of restaurants or anything. In Yulee itself, I mean, really where we are, there's a handful of full service restaurants, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's really not, as far as
Wow.
like
Okay.
corporate places, there's a Chili's. And then the rest are all kind of small, like little mom and pop places. So yeah, it's been really a very successful restaurant there. When you would think if you just drove there, and I will tell you that when my franchisee wanted to show me this location, I stopped there and I kind of looked around. I was like, okay. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know about this, Justin. This is interesting. And he was like, I'm telling you, man, this is what's going on over here, and they're building this over here, and then there's this big neighborhood going on down there, and this is and he knew kind of what was coming up. And
Local
just the
knowledge.
time that it took us to get that location built out, we've had stuff build all around us. And they've got something like 10,000, don't quote me on it, but it's a high number of building permits for residential going on there over the next few years too. There's a mass. We're right off the exit of 95. We're in the end cap of a public shopping center, and we are part of this big neighborhood that's called Wildlight, and it's gonna be, by the time it's all said and done with, it'll be thousands and thousands of homes. And it's a better cost of living for people who commute into Jacksonville and stuff like that, because it's a more rural part of town.
You're the end cap of a Publix shopping center.
That's right. Yep.
Is that did I ever did you and Trey Morgan ever talk?
I don't believe so.
He's my buddy. He does real estate development, and but he does a lot of Publix
I
shopping center.
did. Yes, we did. Yeah, yeah. That was a while ago. Yeah, probably over a year ago. I'd say something like that. I don't know if we've reconnected since then, but
Is
yeah,
that's not one of his?
I don't believe so. No, I
Okay.
don't believe so. Mm-mm.
Wow. I love Publix, man, dude. I freaking that's a good place to be because they run that business so well that like I go to the Publix near us almost every day. It's an ESOP, and the employees are really engaged, and I think it's a really smart model.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
seems like I would if I were like that's probably a good if you're in a shopping center, a grocery store shopping center in Cap. Publix would be a good one to follow around. I
Yeah,
would.
high traffic,
Yeah.
volume, lots of foot traffic, and this is unique because it's got several restaurants in the shopping center too, which isn't too common these days, I feel like. So we've got a place called Grumpy's a couple doors down.
Yeah.
It's like a
Grumpy's.
like
Yeah.
breakfast place franchise as well. We've got oh gosh, what is it called? It's a chicken finger place, which I feel like they're popping up everywhere right now. Is starts with an M. Shoot, Magoo's, Huey Magoo, maybe I think
Oh
is what it's
man.
called.
There's
Uh,
so many chicken places going up
I
now.
know so many chicken finger places going on right now. It's wild, and they all seem to be really successful, which is crazy too. So you got that in that same shopping center, and then a pizza place opened not too long ago, and then a coffee shop just opened. I was just down there a few weeks ago, and they just opened the doors. So yeah, so there's a lot of growth and just more foot traffic, more people coming into that shopping center because of that. So it's been good.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's probably good to have a lot in there because I want breakfast, I go to Grumpy's. I want dinner, I'm going over to Bohemian Bull. I want like it just it becomes a place where you're like, wow, we got all the options we want right there.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Grumpy's, I had that guy on here, Daniel DeLeon. Do you know him? The owner of it?
No,
If you
no,
ever want to connect with him, let me know. He's a great dude, man. Like they
and they're based out of Florida too, right?
yeah, they're based out of like I think Jacksonville. And he has you would really like him because his core values are like really in line with yours. Just values hard work, values a like massive focus on the customer and the customer experience, and just just a good authentic dude, I could tell. And yeah, he bought that. Like Grumpy's was like a single location. He bought it and they decided to start franchise. They're about the same. I think they're about the same size as y'all, like 7, 8, 9, look at something like
Okay.
that.
Cool.
Really good dude if you ever want to connect with him. And the other one is and don't I mean like if you of course you could do this through Dave too, but I mean I'd love to connect you with Don if you like next time you're down there if you want to go meet him. He's a freaking hilarious dude. So
Yeah.
uh, well tell me what you've learned about like narrowing down and finding the right franchisee. I mean, it seems like you can do as much due diligence as you want. There's still always like what happens once they start operating. Um,
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, you hire employees that you interview, and they like go through 3 interviews, and they talk to all these different people on your staff. We even do stages now, like with every person that comes to a restaurant, they have to come in and they have to. It's a paid stage. Like we're not one of those people who's like looking for free labor, but like so we get people that come through on every level, whether it's a dishwasher, server, whatever, and they go and they work a shift with us to make sure it's the right fit for both people, and they still don't work out.
yeah,
So yeah. So what do you do with a 10-year contract with somebody as a franchisee? I mean, I think it's unique, right? It's a unique challenge that I had never come across before that had never, and so you're dealing with people that also this is their livelihood. This is like they're putting, a lot of times $1 million+ into, building this business and getting it up and running. And the restaurant business is super challenging and has its own unique challenges. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a perfect formula for anything. But we try to do the best we can to just do a lot of due diligence, do a ton of interviews, spend a lot of time with them, make sure it's the right fit. Honestly, try to scare them off. as much as we
Yeah.
can by, all the challenges and all the difficulties that come with the restaurant business. So they're fully aware, have as much transparency as possible. When we give them our franchise disclosure document, which is really a kind of nationally regulated document. They're very similar. Everybody has one who has a franchise. You have to legally have one of those. But everybody's is a little bit different as far as transparency is concerned. So, like, we have our P&L is on there, so they see what sales we do and what money we make and all that kind of stuff. So it's called an item 19. And it's just a breakdown of what our previous year looked like for them, so they can see it and kind of see, what it would look like for them. And so, yeah, I mean, like I said, it comes with its own unique challenges. I think the biggest thing is that I have to change the way that you're not leading like a GM, you're not leading like a front of the house manager or anything like that. It's a different, type of person, because they're entrepreneurs, right? And they want their business to be successful, and they're passionate about it, and they're also scared and, tired and like all the things that come with the restaurant industry. But we've got a lot of really great people, so we're really lucky to have that.
Um, yeah, when it's interesting. So you mentioned, so they're entrepreneurs. A lot of these, well, I guess, I mean, am I right that a lot of these folks have had another career? Maybe they've been in corporate America and now they're like, I need to do my own thing.
Yeah, a lot of them are business owners, but not necessarily restaurant business. Like, they might have experience in the restaurant business. We do require some type of like hospitality service type experience. 9 times out of 10, it's typically like they waited tables at some point in their career, they bartended at some point in their career. They've always dreamed of opening up a restaurant, but they know better than to just go and do it themselves because that's, it's there. It is an industry that comes with a lot of challenges, and so I think they're smart enough to say, let me find somebody that has the experience that can help us through this process and give us all the tools and give us the systems and everything like that to make us successful. Um, you know, and I mean, that's typically they have that entrepreneurial spirit, I guess I could say. Maybe they haven't necessarily owned their own businesses before, but they have the entrepreneurial spirit, I guess. And that's why they're getting into it. They're just trying to make a smarter decision by bringing on a franchise.
Well, it's great to have, look, here's the playbook. And you don't have to come up with it, and it's just a matter of executing on it. The challenging part, I guess, is when you have somebody that wants to do maybe something their own way.
Sure. Yep. Yeah.
You're going to get that with entrepreneurs, but I mean, you've had a pretty darn good track record so far, from what I can tell. Do you now you had one service that y'all were using to find franchisees? I don't think you're using them anymore. How are you finding potential franchisees?
Yeah, so we kind of actually put a little pause on aggressively going out and finding sales. And I say aggressively, like, if somebody comes to us right now and says, hey, we're interested in opening up a franchise in this, part of town or whatever, we are definitely open to having those conversations. We just had a lot of franchises to get open. We had done sales, but we hadn't opened them yet. And so, like, we'll open 4 this year. And so we kind of pump the brakes on like really pushing the sales for a little while until we could get these 4 open and really stay focused on making sure that they were all really successful. Because that, is the most important thing, is to make sure that each one of them is successful. And so we will start again, I think, in this late this summer of starting, but we're going to change our technique a little bit and what we're doing. We were kind of going out there, and we had a sales team that was another company basically we were working with that was selling, and we were going out there and we were kind of selling to the whole Southeast, which one costs a ton of money in advertising and marketing. It was all done through social media primarily, and a little bit of SEO with Google. But we really weren't getting a whole lot of Google hits, one a month or so, where we were getting hundreds in the social media aspect. But it's really expensive when you do that, right? when you go into like multiple states trying to advertise. And
Yep.
then you have to, as a franchisor, you have to register your franchise in the state that you're selling in as well. And that often comes with a fee. It's not like a lot of money. They're usually pretty inexpensive until you get into like New York and California and some other states have really strict rules and really higher prices and things like that. Um, but for example, I think in South Carolina, I think we pay like $100 a year or something like that to be registered, and we just have to turn in some paperwork each year to make sure that we're up to date. So our new, I think, format that we're going to try to do is we're going to try to just focus on cities that we want to be in, and really just advertise kind of in those cities. Now, that's going to limit our ability to reach franchisees, right? Like now you go from millions and millions of people that you're getting in front of down to like thousands. But we know we know some areas that we're interested in, and we also know the franchisee that we're looking for now, and we feel like we're okay with slower growth if it means better, healthier growth, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense, man. I always feel like you see franchises sometimes that just grow super, super fast, but um, the execution isn't great, and you have unhappy franchisees, and I mean, I won't name, but I know multiples of those, where it almost is like the franchisor was just trying to get a bunch of franchise fees, and so that's smart, man. I think like because everyone if you slow down and everyone's very successful, then you can it's more likelihood that the next one's very successful. Plus, it just proves out the value of the brand to potential franchisees and helps you be probably even more selective, I would think.
Well, and the best case scenario is you grow within your company too, that you have franchisees that are interested in
They're
opening
interested.
up
Yeah.
multiple locations and stuff like that, right? Because they already understand it. It's easier for them on the second one. I always say the first one that they open, it's like they're a newborn baby. They're like pooping themselves. That you got to feed them. They're crying all the time. You got to it's crazy. And you're like, and so you're that for that first month, it's just like a newborn baby. And then all of a sudden, like month number 2, they're like a toddler. And they're like, okay, you're still got to really watch them. You still got to help them a lot and everything like that. But they're starting to kind of they can at least like feed themselves now, and stuff. And then all of a sudden they start to grow, and you get 6 months into it and they're like, I don't even want to talk to you anymore. Like, I'm good, man. Like, I'm doing my thing. We're coasting along now. And it's really neat to see that growth with them, as they move along, through the process.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Have you ever heard of Franzy? Franzy?
I have not. Mm-mm.
It's pretty new. If you want to check them out, let me know. I can introduce you to the guy that started it. He's here in Charlotte, but they match. They're like, I guess they eliminate the middleman. Like they match franchisees with franchisors. So they sort of like really vet franchisees, and they have multiple verticals. It's not just hospitality, but like somebody's like, yeah, I want to open a restaurant. They dive in and like really understand what the right fit is. And then they match
Okay.
the right franchisor. It's really a cool business. It's doing very well. I've heard a lot of good
Yeah,
things.
and I think a lot of what we have seen in the beginning too was that, let's say we had at the time we had like 2 or 3 stores open. We had a lot of franchisees that were coming to us that are what I would call like that's I don't know if I'd have a name for them really, but like that is what they do. They are franchisees. Like I'll give you an example of a guy that I spoke with that had a couple of Ford dealerships. He had a bunch of Buffalo Wild Wings and everything, and he said, "Look, man, I love your brand. I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. I've visited Charleston a couple times. I've been to your original location. I think it's great. Let me know when you have 10 stores because they want to see some proof of concept. They want to see that
Yeah.
doing is actually working, and that it's not just in this 1 or 2 markets, that it's actually working outside of those markets as well. So, and I can't blame them. I mean, the people that joined us in the beginning obviously jumped off the cliff with us and took a risk as well. And
Yeah.
and we obviously greatly appreciate that. But yeah, I can understand where some of so we believe that possibly some of those doors will open back up as we continue to grow too. So, with 9 locations on the horizon, I've been told by a lot of people who historically have done this, have built huge brands, that have said, around 10 is kind of your sweet spot where people start to feel a little bit more comfortable with you, and especially with you when you're in a bunch of different markets at that point in time too. And we will be. So our number 9 store is in Houston, Texas. So we'll have a couple of them out in Texas now. We'll have one in Florida, and then obviously primarily in South Carolina.
Got your eyes on anywhere in North Carolina?
We'd love to. That's kind of the one of the things that we found really interesting was that when we were doing our marketing, when we did have a sales company that we were working with and we were spending a lot of money to market, we'd have these reports once a month. We'd get with them and we would be able to see where all of our inquiries were coming from franchisees. And it would be like, state by state, like you would have 17 here and 25 here and so on and so forth. North Carolina was always really low, which is really surprising to me. I was really kind of baffled by that. I thought, one, it's like a sister state, right? Like we're right next door to each other. You got to think that we share, like that there's some brand recognition, like you were talking about earlier, because we have brand recognition in Jacksonville, Florida. I mean, there was people that were coming in and being like, "Oh yeah, the one in Charleston before." I talked to a guy who his grandfather, or I'm sorry, he lives in West Ashley, which people who don't live in Charleston, that's just a part of it's Charleston proper. It's just what people call west of the Ashley River. And his grandfather lives in Yulee. So he was just down there visiting. He drove by and he's like, "There's a Bohemian Bowl here." And it was like the 3rd day or 4th day we were open or something. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, so there's brand recognition even there. But yeah, I mean, we'll see.
I'm surprised. Yeah, North Carolina, I would think like, gosh, some like down in Wilmington would be cool.
Yeah. So many good places. Raleigh, like that whole triangle right there, anywhere in those spots would be great. I've got friends who all live in that area. Charlotte would be good. Asheville would be great. Boone, North Carolina. I'm a big, like, we go and visit those places all the time. We go
Boone
up to
would be awesome.
Asheville all the time. So we go there, to get a little taste of winter every year in like January.
Yeah.
And so we have a trip planned this January coming up in Boone. So yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, I would love to be able to get into North Carolina. So the next 2 cities that we're going to be doing kind of a heavier push for is going to be the Charlotte market. So it could be north, south, east, west of Charlotte. We're pretty open to anywhere in that general vicinity. It could be in South Carolina. It could be, Fort Mill or something like that. And then the Columbia market as well. We think both those markets, we have good brand recognition. We think we would do well there. There's dense populations. So we'll see. We'll see how that all kind of shakes out.
Love it. Love it. Keep your eyes on Waxhaw and Marvin as well, which are it's where I live. But there's a public center that I go to all the time. I feel like you guys would kill it. They've actually got an end cap, I think, open. But yeah, I mean, Fort Mill, all the growth in Fort Mill and Rock Hill.
Yeah, I've got friends in like Monroe, or family in Monroe, and like that. I mean, that town, I've been going up there. It's my wife's family. We've been married for 21 years, and I've been going up there for 20 years probably, visiting them, and it's insane, the growth in that area. Like it's hard to even fathom. Like every time we go there, I'm like, this is the same town. Like this is wild. And then we have some good friends in Davidson that he was an executive chef at a big restaurant here in Charleston, and they moved, the restaurant sold, and he got a job with a restaurant group there in Davidson. Do you know Hello Sailor and that?
Oh, Kindred. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's the executive chef for that group. So so he's had a really successful career up there, and he's an amazing chef. So multiple James Beard Award nominations and written cookbooks and all kinds of stuff. So he's a super talented guy.
Oh, dude, hook me up with him. I'd love to have him on the podcast, man. I'm actually I went to college at Davidson, and I go up there often to the college now has an entrepreneur center. So I spend a lot of time there.
Just opened a restaurant in the Duke Energy building downtown, I want to say, this year. So yeah, they've got a handful And then they've got this well, I'm not going to be able to think of the name of it, but kind of quick service type style restaurant that's like the fried chicken and donuts, which is interesting because he comes from like the fine dining world, but he loves casual food.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we went and we went on vacation when they had opened. They had been open for like maybe a year or so, and they were really trying to hone in on their donuts. And he shows up to we had rented a house in North Carolina, and it was over spring break with the kids. And he shows up and he gets out of his he drives a Tundra, and it's got like one of those covers on the back, and he pulls all these boxes out, and they all got numbers on them. I go, Craig, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, we're going to test donuts. And I was like, okay. He had boxes and boxes of different like ages of the donuts and how the dough was made and all this kind of stuff. And so it was fun.
Oh yeah, man. I love that. Yeah, Davidson's a great town.
It's
God,
cool.
it's a phenomenal town and tons of growth up there.
Mhm.
And that group has been like really put them on the map on the culinary scene with Kindred. So yeah, dude, I would love to connect with him. I would love to.
Else, I can do. He's super busy right now in the middle of summertime, so probably be a
Oh yeah,
little
yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah.
They're I mean, I don't know a lot about the other restaurants. I know Hello Sailor because he started there and we went and ate
Yeah.
up there a couple times. So, just
Like,
support him and stuff like that. It was a tough move because like he was at this restaurant for 17 years in Charleston, and then and then it got sold, and he lost his job. So he had to move on. And so it was kind of a tough move because our kids were like best friends, and our
oh
wives were
yeah.
best friends, and we've obviously been able to keep that relationship going. As a matter of fact, we were just hanging out with his wife a couple weeks ago, but he's slammed in the summertime there because
Hey,
Hello Sailor is like right on Lake Norman, and they're just
yeah, dude, I mean, they crush it. Like
yeah,
everybody knows about Hellas, and the lake is so ridiculously busy in the summertime. I bet
yep,
he's busy as heck.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
if you ever come up here to see him too, let me know, man. Like I'm hanging around Davidson like all the time. In fact, the shirt Brawley Sea Company, that's my cousin's start. It's up in Mooresville, which is the next town up north of
okay,
which is also a place that y'all could consider massive growth up there in Mooresville.
cool.
Um, but yeah. Do you I wanted to ask you, Chad, um, do you know George McLaughlin over there at Vicious Biscuit?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know each other real personally or anything like that. We did, I think the most time I've ever spent with him before is when I was working for X1 with Dave Lorenz. Um, George owns bottles as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The liquor store and alcohol, beer, wine, you name it, they have it. And we were in South Carolina. You have to use a distributor for all of your alcohol, third party. So we do these barrel pick programs where we go to like Kentucky and we buy like barrels of bourbon and things like that with Bohemian Bull, and it goes through bottles. So like bottles actually makes the purchase, and then we purchase it from them. And in the case where I actually spent time with George was we went to Mexico and we did a barrel pick program at Herradura. And it was a really neat process. And we were with him and the team from Mex One as well. And yeah, it's beautiful. Have you ever gotten a chance to do anything like that before? It's beautiful country down there. The Tequila, Mexico is a gorgeous, gorgeous part of the country. It's really amazing. And so that was a really neat, unique experience. That was a long time ago. I mean, we're talking probably 10, 11 years ago or so. And that's probably the last time I've seen him. So like I said, I don't know him really well.
Yeah.
One of my managers is dating one of my previous servers, who is now the general manager of Vicious Biscuit, the original Vicious Biscuit location here in Charleston. So
Really?
old kind of stuff. But yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about his business and their growth as well.
Yeah, I mean they're trying to, I think he has like 6 or 7 corporate owned, and then now they're franchising. But he was putting them in like different markets, trying to figure out like where their best fit is. But that is the same question I was asking you. I was talking to him about like he's got Mississippi, he's got Ohio, like totally new, no, brand recognition kind of stuff. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how a lot of the biscuit concepts out there now too, for sure.
Yeah. What
Biscuits.
I think is as you get bigger and you have bigger pockets to spend, you can get you can do some really unique, fun things for brand recognition when you do go into new markets. And one of the things that Chick-fil-A did, I was a corporate trainer for Chick-fil-A years and years ago, probably 15 years ago at this point or so. One of the things they did that blew my mind, I thought was really neat, was they were going to open up and this is kind of right when I was on the tail end of leaving working with them, but they were opening a store in Chicago, and it was going to be the first time that they had opened up in a big city in the Midwest, really outside of Atlanta. I mean, in all honesty, I mean, you don't see Chick-fil-A's aren't at that time weren't like in New York City or Charlotte or like not in downtown markets. Anyways, they were in the outskirts. They were going to open up in Chicago, and I think from what I had heard, what I gathered from the way they marketed it was they basically spent like a year walking around Chicago with a cow and a couple of team members and just handing out chicken sandwiches for like a year. And they had like
Wow.
got
That's
involved and all this kind of stuff. And then they opened the store and it was just bonkers. I mean, it opened. So the way Chick-fil-A does is they open on a Thursday. So they have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then they're closed on Sundays. So you get like 3 days of business and then everybody gets kind of a rest because the first 3 days are always so wild and crazy. And from what I had heard, kind of rumors throughout the corporate, because everybody was like, this is crazy, is that they never really closed those 3 days. Like they were so busy that like the line was out the door till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They just basically they opened at 6 a.m. for breakfast. So they just never really. And it was also my understanding they didn't even bring in team members until a month or so after they opened. It was all corporate trainers that were in there because it was so busy that they were having all corporate trainers run the place for the first month. So there's it, obviously Chick-fil-A is a whole different level, multi-billion-dollar company at this point in time, but there are ways to go into markets and I think do some really good marketing and advertising. A lot of what we do is just involvement with the community, right? Get on radio stations, talk about who you are, work with nonprofit organizations, work with school systems, like get involved in the community, be part of the community, be blended in with the community. And that's really how you are going to build your business from there.
Yep. Amen. I love that. I love that. Um, are you so are you on the road a lot then, Chad? It seems like you would be with all these. I mean, I guess some though, after a while, like you said, they don't really need you anymore, but what's your schedule like for travel?
Um, Essentially just about every Tuesday and Wednesday, I usually leave just about every week and drive to one of the locations that and I'll leave like a Tuesday morning, 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, spend all day Tuesday and then like most of the day Wednesday and then try to be home Wednesday evening. And usually spend basically a couple of days with the locations, especially because we have two new ones. They're toddlers now, but they're they're still relatively new stores. So we've got Murrells Inlet, which is only about an hour and a half away from us, and then Yulee, Florida, which is about 3.5 hours away. So yeah, so we still try to visit them frequently. We also do weekly calls with them too. So just like this, we do a Google Meet with them once a week and just answer questions. I mean, we're obviously available 7 days a week to if there's an emergency or anything like that. But on the weekly calls, we're typically talking about prime cost and major food costs, labor costs, bar costs, things like that. How are things going with that? How's your ordering going? How's staffing? And then listening to a lot of what they are going through, some of the challenges they're going through, and then using those moments to kind of do some coaching and teaching. A lot of these people that come in maybe are entrepreneurs, maybe they have experience managing some people, but we have a staff of 45 to 50 employees at most of our locations. And with all different unique challenges of their own and life happening and yada yada yada, there's all this stuff that's really hard about managing that many people with really unique schedules too. A lot of them, it's like they're in school, this is like a you know uh, supplemental income, they have another job, like there's just all this stuff that goes hand in hand with it. And so in the beginning, I tell people this all the time, and I think this is the hardest pill to swallow, is that good people have good jobs. So when you hire your first set of like 45, 50 employees, like you're not always going to get the A team because, most of the greatest people in that market most likely probably have really good jobs that they're very happy with. And so it is uh really challenging to find like a great management team right in the very beginning. And we have had success. We've had some really great management teams that are still in place to this day. I'll say that a couple of our stores just have incredible, like, knock it out of the park teams that are just awesome people. And then some of them, like, they've had to let GMs go within the first couple of weeks and kind of reformat and figure things out. And but unfortunately, that's part of this industry, and it's part of the growing pains that you go through in the beginning of opening up a restaurant. We have very low turnover at my two corporate locations, but it didn't start that way. We didn't open the doors and have low turnover. We had to build the A team in order to get there. And then good people want to work with other good people. So eventually you get to that point where, you don't have to advertise as much when you need new people. You just kind of ask around your staff, hey, we're looking for a new line cook. Anybody know anybody? We're looking for a dishwasher. We're looking for a server, whatever it is. And usually those doors open up pretty quickly.
Where is your location in Merle's Inlet? Are you on the boardwalk?
No, it is. It was an old Chicago building. It is. Do you know Merle's Inlet at all? So it's on
Wow.
Business 17. It's about maybe a half a mile down the street from Texas Roadhouse, on the right hand side. Not sure how else to really explain where it is from there. Down the street from like an Outback as well. Does
Yeah.
that ring a bell at all?
Yep.
So yeah, it was a really great opportunity because it was an old Chicago that wasn't even on the market. We had heard through I have a broker that works in South Carolina, and I've known her for, I don't know, 15, 18 years, something like that. As a matter of fact, I met her through Craig, the guy that works with Kindred. So me and her somehow sat on jury duty together, and we just started like talking to each other and realized we had a bunch of common. She was a restaurant broker, so she knew like a lot of people in town that are in the restaurant business, and so we've been working with her ever since. And she had gotten word somehow. I don't know the full story, but she somehow heard about this place that was coming up, or maybe it was my franchisee that even heard about it. I'm not really positive exactly how it came about that they got this opportunity to kind of get their foot in the door before the store even came on the market. Essentially what happened was it was a guy who owned 50, 60 franchises, based out of Tennessee, not all restaurants, all different kinds of franchises, from car washes to restaurants. And unfortunately, he was an older gentleman and he passed away, and he left the company to his family. And they didn't really have any ties to Merle's Inlet, and they had a couple of stores there, and they just said, we're just gonna basically let them go. So we were able to take over that store with very little overhead, which was amazing. They left all the FF&E and all that, and a lot of it needed to be replaced. As an older store, we went in and we replaced most of the kitchen equipment. But you had an existing hood system, you had an existing grease trap, you had a 40 tap system for beers, which is perfect for us. We usually look for around 25 to 30. So it's a little bit more than what we typically do, but yeah, it was almost turnkey in a lot of ways. I mean, I think we opened it up in like 3 months. So maybe even less, maybe it was like 2.5 months. But yeah, and it's been a really successful store. We have phenomenal franchisees there. They both quit full-time jobs that they have been working out for years and years to kind of really dive all in on this and make it successful. And they're great people.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a cool area. I love it down there. We grew up going to Polly's and Litchfield and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
My mom grew up in Georgetown. So
yeah, they're hoping to open up some more stores in that market as well. They live closer to like North Myrtle Beach, and that's really where they were looking at originally.
Yeah.
But it's a market. It's one of the fastest growing markets in the United States. And anything that is like any restaurant that's going out of business that you could go into like a second generation location has already been sucked up by somebody else. You almost got to do what we did, and that's get in before you even know that before most people know that it's closing. And if you're not going to do that, then you got to get into new construction, which they didn't want to wait on that, right? It's not that they didn't have a willingness to do it and to go into like a new shopping center or something like that, but they just didn't want to sit around and wait on that process. They wanted to get something open sooner than that. So, their hopes, I think, I don't want to speak for them, but the last I talked to them, I think they're hoping that maybe in a year or so, they'll start looking again at that market and with a little bit more patience this time because they have a store open already. So I'm starting to try to get something more closer to the North Myrtle Beach market.
It's a good area. It's a good area.
Sure
A lot of restaurants down there.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we'll wrap it up. I always love talking to you. So good to see your face, and just glad to hear about the continued success, man. Not one bit surprised. But if I can do anything, let me know. I definitely would stay in touch with Trey. That guy's opening public centers all over the Southeast.
Okay. Sure, that's awesome. Yeah,
you've got to stay connected with. They're always kind of ahead of where stuff's going. So, awesome. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate the business. Appreciate everything. Thank you.
Same for you, man. We appreciate you as well. You guys are awesome over there.
All right, man. Have a good one, Chad.
Talk to you soon.
See you.
Bye.